February 2013, Melbourne, Australia. Crown Casino is glowing like a city that never sleeps. The gaming floor is massive, the money is constant, and the confidence is almost arrogant. This is the kind of place that doesn't just expect to win, it expects to catch you trying. Crown isn't only a casino, it's a surveillance machine wrapped in luxury. Thousands of slot machines, hundreds of table games, and a VIP ecosystem where the bets don't feel real. Up above, security runs like air traffic control. Faces, hands, chips, patterns, everything. For 2 decades, Crown's reputation has been simple. People might win a night, but nobody beats the system. Not the way criminals dream about, not the way movies sell it. And then, in one weekend, a high roller walks in and Crown finds itself staring at a number that doesn't make sense. 32 million. That's the figure that becomes attached to the story. Sometimes it's reported as AU $32 million, sometimes as US $33 million, depending on who tells it. Either way, the message is the same. This wasn't a lucky night. This was a controlled outcome. And the most humiliating part for the Crown is this. The casino didn't get broken into. It invited the problem inside. It rolled out the red carpet, offered perks, suites, personal service, and the kind of treatment designed to keep a wealthy person playing until they cracked. The man at the center is James Manning, a New Zealand businessman known for high-stakes blackjack. He looks like the perfect VIP customer, calm, wealthy, friendly, predictable. The kind casinos love, because they assume he'll lose big and quietly. But Manning doesn't arrive alone in the way that matters. He may sit at the table by himself, but the real team isn't sitting in the room. The real team is hidden in the background, in the systems, and in the one place every security plan eventually fails. Crown assigns him a VIP staff handler, someone whose job is simple: keep him comfortable, keep him happy, keep him playing. Drinks, meals, privacy, small talk, anything that makes the night feel smooth. It's not just service, it's a strategy. And here's the truth about security that almost nobody wants to say out loud. You can build a fortress out of cameras and steel, but the softest point is always the person with access. The person who knows which door doesn't beep. The person who knows how things really work. That's why this story never feels like a pure hacking story. It feels like a hybrid, a businessman with cash and patience, plus someone inside who can open a door that's supposed to stay locked. Not a vault door, an information door. Because the plan wasn't to steal chips. It wasn't to swap decks. It wasn't to mark cards. The plan was to steal the one thing that turns gambling into math you can control. In blackjack, the difference between a normal player and a predator is simple. A normal player makes decisions in the dark, guessing against probability. A predator makes decisions with extra knowledge, and probability collapses in their favor. That's where the camera angle becomes everything. The Crown's surveillance system is designed to stop cheating, but surveillance is still just vision. If someone else can access that vision, the casino's advantage flips. You don't need to beat Crown's dealers. You need to beat the Crown's privacy. The alleged scheme, as later described in reporting and retellings, revolves around one chilling possibility. Someone outside the room can see what the casino can see. Live in real time, the same angles, the same table, the same hands. If that happens, blackjack stops being a gamble. It becomes a guided tour. And the only real challenge becomes, how do you win big without looking like you know too much? Because casinos don't panic when you win. High rollers win sometimes. Casinos panic when you win in a way that breaks the psychology of luck. When the timing is too perfect, when the big bets hit the exact right moments, when the decisions look wrong but keep paying. That's the type of pattern that makes experienced surveillance people lean closer to the screen. Manning enters Crown's high-limit environment, the kind of private area people whisper about. Polished wood, quiet dealers, discreet security, and a room that doesn't feel like entertainment. It feels like finance. Minimum bets that already sound insane, and maximum bets limited only by how much money you can stomach losing. And he plays it perfectly at first. He isn't wild, he isn't loud, he doesn't walk in trying to break records. He keeps his play looking human. Some wins, some losses, normal rhythm. The exact kind of camouflage you'd use if you were hiding something. Then he begins to do something that looks like confidence bordering on recklessness. A jump in bet size at the right moments. A few decisions that most gamblers wouldn't make. Not every hand, only the ones that matter. That's the core trick with this kind of alleged scam. You don't want a constant stream of perfection. You want bursts, spikes, moments you can explain away as luck, while the long-term edge quietly prints money. Later retellings often focus on a small set of critical hands, commonly described as 8 key hands, where the decisions seem unbelievably timed. That number sticks because it's easy to visualize. A handful of moments where everything looks scripted. Whether it's exactly 8 or not, the principle is the same. One night, a handful of hands can build a legend, and in a private room, those hands can be worth millions, and that's what makes the amount so scary. 32 million is not a lucky run. That number implies either a system failure or a system exploit. Either way, it's a disaster for a casino's image. Because if a casino can be beaten at blackjack, people don't just think, wow, he got lucky. They think the game can be hacked. And once people believe that, your entire luxury brand becomes fragile. The Crown's security people don't run on superstition, they run on patterns. At some point during the session, someone inside surveillance begins pulling footage, replaying sequences, and asking the only question that matters. Is this still luck? They start checking for the classics. Marked cards, dealer collusion, signals between players. They zoom in on hands, chips, and eyes. They watch how the player reacts to swings. They check whether the dealer's behavior is clean. And this is where the story turns, because the table itself looks clean. No obvious cheating props, no dramatic hand tricks, no visible partner at the table. Which means if something illegal is happening, it's happening outside the room. That's when suspicion moves toward the one thing Crown is supposed to own completely: its surveillance ecosystem. If the scheme involves viewing or tapping security feeds, that's not just casino cheating, that's intrusion. That's the kind of story regulators and investors hate. The kind of story that turns a high-end casino into a cautionary tale overnight. By morning, the Crown does what big institutions do when they sense a reputational fire. It moves fast, quietly, and in private. No public scene, no screaming, no dramatic police chase through the lobby. The money gets frozen. The VIP is confronted behind closed doors. And the tone is controlled, but hard. Because in that room, the Crown isn't only protecting money, it's protecting its myth. The myth is, we see everything. If that myth cracks, high rollers start asking uncomfortable questions. They start wondering if the cameras are watching for cheaters, or if cheaters can watch through the cameras. They start wondering if the safest rooms are actually the easiest to exploit. So Crown's next decision becomes brutal. Do you prosecute and risk dragging the mechanics into the public? Or do you contain it, ban the person, bury the vulnerability, and protect the brand? This is where the corporate incentives become obvious. 32 million hurts, but headlines hurt more. A public trial would mean days and weeks of coverage repeating the same phrase. Crown's security was compromised. That's not a story a casino wants. Because casinos live on confidence. Not trust in fairness, trust in control. So the outcome becomes something like this. The VIP is removed, access is cut, an internal staff member is fired, silence falls, and the public is left with fragments, rumors, and one giant number that keeps coming back. And then comes the strangest detail of all. The kind of detail that makes the whole thing feel like a movie, even when it's not. Around the same time period, Crown became famous for a Guinness World Records moment, a cocktail called the Winston, priced at as $12,500, made with rare cognac and staged as an ultra-luxury PR spectacle. Later accounts and retellings claim that Crown's PR machine leaned into these kinds of stunts to control narratives and keep the spotlight away from uglier stories. Whether every detail of that is provable in public records or not, the logic is painfully believable. When you can't erase a scandal, you try to drown it in glamour. But the scandal doesn't die because it's too instructive. It exposes a truth every modern system shares. Surveillance protects you only if you control who can see the feed. If the feed leaks, the camera becomes a weapon. That's why this story doesn't feel like a gambling cheat. It feels like a warning for airports, banks, hospitals, and any place that thinks cameras equal safety. Cameras don't equal safety. Ownership does, and ownership is usually protected by passwords, permissions, and people who get tired, stressed, pressured, bribed, or broken. So, what really happened here, in plain terms? The cleanest version is this. A high roller allegedly gained an unfair edge by accessing information he should never have had, likely through a chain that involved inside access and technical exploitation. It wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was leverage. And leverage is the real currency in every major heist. Now look at the ending with cold eyes. Even if the Crown stopped the payout, even if money was frozen, even if bans were issued, the damage was already done. Because the case leaves behind a question that is poison to a casino brand. If someone can use your own surveillance to beat you, are you actually the house? Or are you just the stage? That's the haunting part. This wasn't a man beating a game. This was a man allegedly beating an institution's confidence. And confidence is worth more than cash in places like this. So who won? If the money never fully left, the Crown can tell itself it survived. If the scam was detected, the Crown can claim it worked. If the story stays messy, the Crown can hide behind silence. But the other side gets something too. Proof. Proof that even the most watched room in Australia has a blind spot. Proof that security budgets don't eliminate human weakness. Proof that the most expensive systems still rely on one fragile thing: control over access. And once that proof exists, it doesn't matter how many cameras you install next year, because the myth is gone. And the final question is the one Crown never wants asked out loud. If this could happen in the most protected casino in the country, how many other secure places are one insider away from collapsing the same way?